Okay, since I'm not necessarily going to be able to talk with all of you before the auditions, I thought I would just make a video of basically what I wish that I knew when I was a teenager, and I was trying to, do more things with theater. Okay, because like this is what I would tell you if we all met together, and you know I didn't know some things, and that led me down some roads that kind of I wish that I could avoided. So I want to tell you basically the things that I would have told my teenage self um, when I was, if I could go back and talk to you know, uh, 16-year-old Joanna Gettinger. And so I want to tell them to you. Okay, first off, I would tell myself, and I want to tell you that the auditioning and the casting part of a show is one of the very biggest risk factors in a show. And if you as I have come to think of it in terms of risk instead of whether or not I get approval, I think that would have really changed things for me. Okay, so first off, you are taking a big risk to audition for a show. So doing risky things is hard, and doing risky things is valuable. And even when they don't turn out exactly the way we hope, really, they also don't turn out as badly as we fear. And so take the risk, try out for this, and, I am here to support you. Okay? And so use the supports that you have to be able to do this well. Okay, so I'm here to support you. You have other supports in your life. Let's do this, okay? And audition. But understand you're taking a risk, and that is a valuable thing, and good on you for doing it. Secondly, the casting directors are taking big risks when they are casting a show. They're going to dedicate a lot of time and energy to this. And so they want this to be a brilliant production that is everything they've ever dreamed. And so, and they're risking it by putting people that are not them, that they can't control, into these spots. And so understand that they are taking a risk on you. And it's less of a risk when the directors know you already. I know you guys. And so I know exactly how I would cast this show if we were doing it right now at Rehoboth, with a couple differences. But I have a good idea of who I'd want in these places because I know you guys. I know what your strengths are. I know what your weaknesses are. And I know that I can depend on you to be able to do a fantastic job. These people probably don't know you. And so understand that they are taking a risk on you as they are looking at your audition, and they're trying to think how big of a risk this will be and what they can do about it. So there's a lot of risk involved. And if they know you, it's less of a risk. But there are other things that you can do to make the risk less for the director. Okay, so first of all, do everything that you can to make it easy for them to envision you in their production. Your song choice is a big thing about that. And so that's one of the reasons I've been working on that with you, because that makes it, they can get an idea that they can envision what you will do in their production. And so that is a big, huge part of it. Also, as you're auditioning for somebody that you don't know yourself and know what you are great at. Okay. One of the reasons why I sent you all the different roles that were involved in Cinderella was first, so that you can kind of check out like the vocal range of everything. It would be a train wreck if they cast someone with a beautiful belting alto voice in a lilting soprano role. Like, that's not going to work well. And so that's, one of the things that they're afraid of. And so show them who you are, and also try to target things that fit you well. Okay. And also know who you are as an actor. Okay. Like, for instance, they have to have some sort of a vision that they want their show to look like. And you have to fit into that vision, or you have to be amazing enough that it changes what their vision is for the show. Okay. So for instance, I am super unlikely to be cast in the role of Cinderella. Why is that? Well, because I am old. I do not look like the age that anyone could respect a Cinderella who was like dreaming in her room and, falls head over heels in love with a guy that she meets at this beautiful ball and like needs all this guidance and that sort of thing. So I'm not going to be cast in that. And I'm really okay with that. And I'm not going to be disappointed because like the director has a different vision for what they're going to do. And so if I don't get the lead role in this, it doesn't mean that I'm not fantastic. It means that this show isn't going to fit well for me to be a lead in. Okay. And so, they're taking that sort of a risk with their vision as they're trying to cast this. And if you don't fit in their vision perfectly, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong about you. It means that this was too big of a risk for the director to take. And that is okay. That says something about the production and about them. It tells you a little bit about yourself as an actor, but it really doesn't like impact your quality as a human or your worth as a human. Okay. So I want to tell you that. Also, casting new people in a group is a risk because very often theater is a tight-knit community. I know how much I love you guys and how you are so much my people. And often people who are involved in theater have trouble finding their people. And when they find their people, they're like, these are my people. And when new people come in, they're kind of cautious because they don't know how you'll fit in the group and what you'll do to the people. And so that is something that is a risk for them. So to mitigate this risk, as you're in the auditions, be interested in what other people are saying. Ask them questions. Ask them about the things that they've done. Tell them about the things that you've done. Ask them about themselves as people. Like, interact as much as you can, as much as you have space for, because, dude, all of this is a risk for you too. But the more you can mitigate the risk for other people, the less of a risk you'll seem like. So definitely be interested, be humble. That's something, nobody wants their group to be taken over by somebody. And also be accepting. Let different people be different and be okay with it. The next risk for casting directors when they don't know you is the risk of, is this person going to be a problem cast member? If you don't, so you might not know, but some people are problem cast members who put huge amounts of risk in a show. Problem cast members can be divas who seem to respond like everything in the world needs to revolve around them. problem cast members can be those who don't put in the work, either because they don't show up to practices or they don't do work ahead of time. Problem cast members can be like people that are just not that committed and might get a role and then 4 weeks later be like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Okay. And so understand that that is one of the risks that they're thinking about as they're encountering you as a new person. The ways that you can mitigate that risk: one, be prepared. That's one of the reasons why I'm encouraging all of you to come with your own solos ready and not use their material. So make sure that you have the karaoke version pulled up and ready to start at the moment that you want to start your music. If you're using karaoke, if you're doing a cappella, make sure that you are prepared for anything that you need to do that way. Also, let them be prepared by telling them what your conflicts are. You know when your choir tour is going to be, so make sure that you even bring a note card that has your conflicts in it. Okay, that your choir tour is this week. You have finals on this week. You practice cantabile on this day of the week. Any other conflicts that you have, be prepared with them so that they don't get into anything and then find out that, oh, this person isn't able to do the things that I expected them to do. And your conflicts are not necessarily a deal breaker. Lots of you were also in fall sports, and that was a conflict. And it wasn't a deal breaker because we found ways to accommodate and to work that out. But helping them know ahead of time lets them know that you will respect them and their ability to plan. But it also shows that you have thought about this and you're prepared, and you you're just mitigating that risk of, is this person going to be dependable or not? Okay. And one of the other things that I would want to tell myself is that sometimes you might have to prove yourself before you are trusted in a more major role. So the odds are much higher that y'all will be in the chorus than if I was directing this, because you've proved yourself to me already, and now you need to do it with somebody else. They're not asking for my feedback about you as actors, and they don't want me to cast this thing. And so you are at square one with proving yourself, and that is okay. Sometimes you just have to put your time in, and then be willing to go for the next thing, and understand that if you prove yourself in an ensemble, then you are more likely to be able to fit a vision for somebody else's dream. And quite honestly, now that we know you guys, we are looking for productions for next year to do that will fit the people who have proved themselves. Not that you'll all necessarily get the lead roles, but just that is part of a decision-making process for a production company. And so the more you prove yourself, the more things that will let you be involved in exactly the way that you want it to be involved will come up. Okay. You might not get the role that you want, and that is okay. That there's lots of reasons that are different than I'm not good enough or I didn't do well enough to be able to get this. Okay, so there's all the risk factors that we've also already talked about, but also there's a vision that the director has. And, I'm not a young adult / teenager. I'm not going to fit into a Cinderella role if that's the dream that the director has. But also, they have to find out what they actually have as actors to work with and how to make a cohesive story together. Okay, so for instance, if the only person that they could possibly cast as the prince is a 35-year-old man, there is no way that Cinderella is going to be a 17-year-old girl. Okay, because that tells a creepy story and they do not want to tell that story. Okay, so if there was a role you really wanted that you don't get, it might be because they only had so many things to work with for the roles that would work around that character. Okay, so so that's another thing that you have to like remind yourself when, if you are disappointed, that doesn't mean that you weren't good enough. Sometimes it means that you weren't the right fit for the other people who were in the role, and that their vision of storytelling wouldn't be complete because of, you know, how this all went together. Like, okay, so my brother, who's younger than me, was in Cinderella at our school, and I had already graduated. And this gorgeous, strong, beautiful voiced girl was Cinderella. And the prince was so weak, it was hard to watch. And I would say that that was one of the very weakest productions that the school did, because there was a mismatch between those two roles and the people and what they could bring to those two roles. And so, like, there was ineligibility that happened and that sort of thing. But that was a big problem. And that's something that casting directors are thinking about, is who will be in these little pods of actors who will be together and how well will they work together. And so that's something to think about. And the last thing that I would want you to know, because I would want my 16-year-old self to know, is take the risk. Okay? It's a risk. It really is. And it's scary. And that's okay. But go ahead and take it, because if you let yourself, there's a lot that you can learn from just the audition process. Even if, I was going to tell you to audition for this, even if it was going to land on the week of choir tour and, just say, oh, I can't do it, it's during choir tour, I would still tell you to audition, because there's so much that you can learn about yourself as an actor as you audition. There's so much that you can do to lessen the intimidation factor of auditionings as you do it over and over. And, there's also just fun people to meet, and it's a good experience. So take the risk. I really hope that you do. Let me know how I can support you, because I believe in you. And I'm hoping to do this with you as a fellow castmate instead of the director. So that's what I'm sending you today, since I couldn't meet with you in person. Let me know if you have any questions or anything that you want to discuss, because you have my number.